On behalf of Voices, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Dave to kick off our annual day of new team formation, of transition, reconfiguration, and evolution. Please join me in extending our voices, and remember he's used to the noise in Chrysler and Big House, and welcome Dave Brandon.
Thanks for inviting me. The thing I enjoy most about these gatherings is the question and answer period, because first of all, there's nothing going on in college athletics of any interest whatsoever. But I never know what you all would like to hear me speak about, and so I'm going to leave ample time for any questions you may have and we can talk about whatever you want me to talk about, or nothing, if that's your pleasure. Coming here was a great opportunity for me because it gave me the opportunity to find out what this Voices program is all about, because I'm still kind of new around here, trying to figure out all these various programs and opportunities that exist on this campus. And so it's nice to be invited here, and I want to welcome all of you new members. I want to congratulate those of you who are outgoing members and thank all of you for your contributions to this effort. It's really an impressive undertaking, and the more I learned about it, the more excited I got about it. I actually wanted to spend a few minutes chatting with you this morning about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, which also ties in nicely with the theme of transitions, and that is the phrase "change is good." And I don't think the phrase "change is good" is necessarily a tactic or a strategy. I think it's a mindset. And it's really interesting as a newcomer to this campus, not so much from the standpoint of not having spent a lot of time here, because I have as a student athlete, as a regent, but now I'm here in a completely different capacity, and I'm learning more and more about this culture and more about how we change and when we change and how that change happens. And so I hope the concept of change is good is in keeping with your purpose. I'm kind of known and defined as a change guy. When I took my first job kind of out of school at P&G for 5 years, I learned a lot about business and a lot about the basic tools, but the first real leadership opportunity I had was at this company called Molasses. We were located not too far from here, and it was a very small family company, and my job was to come in and transition it from a very small family business where virtually all the employees were friends and family members of the founder, and it was very small, and we used to have meetings in a very small cafeteria because all 65 of our employees could fit in there, and transition it over time to a professionally managed, large New York Stock Exchange company. And over the 20 years that I was there, we effectively did that. We went from 65 employees and about 30 million in sales to about 800 million in sales, about 1,500 employees and a market cap on the New York Stock Exchange of over $2 billion. That's a lot of change. That's a lot of change. And then I left there and I went to this pizza company down the road. And that was a completely different challenge because when I got there, I was 37 years old, and it had what I would call a hardened culture, a very different culture, very different than a culture I could be comfortable leading. And so that was a completely different leadership challenge because I went into a culture that kind of liked itself, and it was comfortable and used to being a certain way, but yet it wasn't a way that was going to lend itself to the kind of growth and opportunity that we really looked for as investors and owners of the business. So that was a completely different change is good mindset that I needed to adopt and adapt to. And then my most recent appointment was at Michigan Athletics. And my job at Michigan Athletics, as I was sent in by my new boss, was to challenge the status quo. Because frankly, there were some things that weren't going real well. Our performance on the football field, which represents 66% of our revenues, which really drive the resources that we need for all of our 29 sports. We'd had 3 very, very disappointing seasons, missed bowl games 2 out of the 3, we're not competitive in the Big Ten. But moreover, the Director's Cup, which is more of a broader measure, of performance, which is the top 10 women and top 10 men's sports, and point values are assigned based on your performance. We had gone from perennially being in the top 5 in the nation to 26th. And there were 3 Big Ten teams that were ahead of us. And it was a time where we really felt change was necessary. And I'm a change agent, and so I was brought in to try to lead that change. And one of the things that I had to prove was that you can't get better results by doing the same things over and over again. My approach to getting familiar with Voices was to go to the website, because that's what we all do, right? We Google when we want to know about anything. And what I was really searching for and easily found was your mission statement. Because to me, words matter. And when you go through the process of establishing a mission statement and guiding principles, and goals and objectives, that defines you as an organization. So words matter, and I went to see what your words were in terms of your mission statement. Can anybody stand up and recite the mission statement from memory? I'll pay big money. Well, it's readily available, even though it may not be emblazoned in your hearts and your minds. And here's what it says: Voices of the staff will encourage a sense of community among all university employees by promoting and facilitating staff participation through regular dialogue between the Voices team and executive officers. I want to stop there, and that's all good stuff. I mean, those are all nice words. But here, to me, are the real definitive words. The staff perspective will provide insight on improving the university system for all. That's an action-oriented phrase that says what you're out there to do is promote change. That means your change is good, people. That means I like you. That means I like you. And it's who you are. You're change people, and it's who you are, and those final words, improve the university system for all, is your mandate. It's why you're here, and it's why you put energy into this. But I applaud you for what you're doing, and I encourage you to keep it going. I'm working to improve Michigan athletics as well. And some of the things that I've observed in my 15 months here is that, first of all, Domino's this year will do $6.3 billion in global retail sales. We operate 9,300 retail units in 69 countries around the world, which means we deal in all kinds of currencies and languages. We employ 175,000 people at any given time. And that place is much simpler than the University of Michigan. This is a very complex place. Even though it's much smaller in scope and scale, and even though it's confined to really 3 communities that are very close together in one area of the state of Michigan, this is a very complex place. The decentralized nature of this place, which we love and we celebrate, is both a blessing and a curse. Because the decentralized nature of this place makes it triply hard to be a change agent, to get any changes in place. We're used to a much slower pace of change. And a lot of it is because of the shared governance model that we have. Down the street at Domino's, I'm the CEO. If I woke up one morning and decided we needed to quit going north and start going east, by God, we were gonna go east. If anybody kept going north, they'd have to go work someplace else, right? There was a very clear direction and a very immediate opportunity to change direction and move, depending on what variables were happening out there. It just doesn't happen here. And probably in some ways that's a good thing, but in some ways it's a very challenging thing for those of us who want to be change agents. And the other thing that we have is we have these traditions. And we love our traditions here. But sometimes traditions can be a way of hiding from change. And I've seen that over Michigan athletics. Well, this is the way we always do things. Well, okay, but maybe we ought to think about doing it differently. Well, but that's our tradition. And so that's one of the things that we as change agents have to kind of think about and respond to. I'm a big believer in what gets measured gets done. And so the measuring tool I use to measure the culture at all the companies that I've led and most recently at Michigan Athletics is a tool called the Denison Survey. And it measures the culture in all kinds of different ways. It measures it in terms of mission, adaptability. There's a whole bunch of, it's a wonderful tool. Sometime I'd love to share it with you because I think it does a great job of measuring something that in many instances has been hard to measure. One of the things it measures is change and innovation. And Michigan Athletics got the lowest score in the 25-year history of the Denison survey because we love our traditions. We like doing things the way they've always been done. We're established in a pattern of behavior that we would like to continue because that's in our comfort zone. And that's hard to break through. As a leader, it's hard to break through. But I'm a change agent. And I was brought there on a mission, and I continue to work every day to promote change and innovation. And I hope you will see that as fans and observers of Michigan Athletics. Why are we the first school to add men's lacrosse in 30 years? Why are we taking on the obligation of 84 new student athletes? Why are we taking on the financial obligation of 25 new NCAA scholarships? Why are we spending $97 million on Chrysler Arena? Why are we going to spend $14 million on Yost? Why did we spend $226 million on Michigan Stadium? We're doing these things because we want to be competitive, we want to be on the move, we want to be the leaders in best in all that we do. And that requires change. And that requires a culture of change. It requires a mindset of change is good. We recently went through the first strategic planning process that we as an athletic department have been through in over 10 years. And words matter. And we came up with our mission statement, and you know what? It was really that was pretty easy, much easier than it's been for me in leading other strategic planning processes. And our mission statement, I like ones that are easy to remember. In fact, I've challenged our people, and I'm going to pay for this out of my own money. But here in a couple weeks, I'm going to be going around the department with $10 bills, a big roll of them. And if somebody can stand on a chair and recite from memory the mission statement, I'll give them $10. If they can recite it backwards, I'll give them $20. Because I want people to have this in their head. Michigan Athletics, relentlessly striving to be the leaders and best in every way. Relentlessly striving. Striving means we're not there yet, because we're not. Some people like to pretend that we are, but we're not. Striving. Relentlessly. There's a sense of passion and pace with that word. And so words matter. And then we went through our guiding principles. We wanted, and this is a catch-ball process where leaders lead and you put something out there and people react to it. And we've had everybody from people who work on our grounds crews at the facilities to our senior-most people on our leadership team weigh in and work on developing the words that we think define what we're about. And it's interesting, most of this evolved in a really easy way. Our first guiding principle, in fact, our guiding principles are preambled by Michigan Athletics. Everything we do will be shaped by these guiding principles. And first, we demand integrity. Strong word, demand. But I'm in a business where integrity is really important. Ask some people south of here how important integrity is. And so we demand it. We don't ask for it, we don't hope for it, we don't wish for it, we demand it. We work hard to win championships. We create positive academic and athletic experiences for our student athletes and prepare them to be successful in life. We are a great place to work. We create wow experiences for our student athletes, fans, and department team members. We will grow and remain financially self-supporting. And then there was the one that we spent the most time on, because it started out, change is good. And you have no idea the debates that we had about that. And that's indicative of the fact that our Denison survey said that we were the lowest score ever in the world of change and innovation. Because just those words, change is good, was so hard. It was so hard for our folks. So where we landed, eventually, through a lot of compromise, because we had the Change is Good group battling the traditions and history group, we finally ended up with we respect our traditions while also believing that change is good. We respect our traditions while also believing that change is good. And then the last one, just for your information, is we will always remember what he taught us. The team, the team, the team. And our belief is if you don't know who he is, you shouldn't be working at Michigan Athletics. I've often been referred to as a change agent, sometimes with great respect and appreciation, and sometimes with great disdain, because some folks like change better than others. But it was Tolstoy who said, everybody wants to change the world, nobody wants to change themselves. And I have that plaque on my desk. And I show it to people occasionally as a reminder. Because fundamentally, we all want change, we all know it's necessary, but we all know sometimes it's hard for us individually to do that. And I've been on a lot of boards, I've been in a number of industries. I've never seen an industry where the things that are going on, as I see it in higher education, the poaching of faculty, the fighting for research grants, the raiding of talent from one university to the other, the facilities arm race, the stealing the best students you can with grants and other incentives, or some might call them bribes. The whole fixation on U.S. News and World Report rankings when they come out. Anybody who thinks this is not a competitive industry that we're in is not paying attention. And my coach, Bo Schembechler, used to teach us on a daily basis, you either get better or you get worse. You do not have the luxury of trying to stay the same. Because if you stay the same, while everybody else is around you, who's competing with you, is working to get better, de facto, they're gonna get better at a faster rate than you, and you're gonna lose. And so this whole idea of you either get better or you get worse is a choice you get to make, is something that was emblazoned into my head for many years ago. And I've witnessed it and I've lived it in my career. And my challenge to you as members of this university community is to understand how important the work that you're doing is as change agents. Fight to create change. Fight the resistance that you will have to maintain the status quo. Fight through the bureaucracy. Continue on your mission to accomplish great things through change. And very, very, very occasionally, in a very, very, very careful, professional way, you may have to step on somebody's toes. That's okay. As long as you're very careful and it's very occasional. But that's how change happens. And that's certainly the way that we're approaching it at Michigan Athletics. So I don't know if a lot of people can compare the world of higher education to football. And I don't know that a lot of people will embrace Bo Schembechler quotes when it comes to how the future of higher education is going to work. But I think we have to embrace the fact that change is good. And we have a choice to make as to whether we get better or we get worse. And if we want to get better, we're going to have to confront change. Bo had a sign above his door that was a little ominous to me when I was an 18-year-old. The first time I met him on campus, I was waiting in a little holding area before I went in to see my new head coach, and I looked up, and above his door there was a sign that said, "Those who stay will be champions." And I kept staring at that, and I thought, I like the champions part, but the "those who stay" part was a little ominous. And I later learned why that sign was there, because not everybody stayed. Not everybody could put up with what we had to sacrifice and do to be champions. And I left here with 3 Big Ten championship rings. The 3 years I was on the varsity, we lost 1 game to those cheaters down south. And so he made me a champion, he made us champions, but he did that through a process that was very tough and very demanding. Those who stay will be champions. I actually think in today's world, in the world of higher ed, in the world of athletics, that sign should probably be modified to say those who change will be champions. Those who have the ability to embrace change, get excited and motivated by change, they'll be the champions. And I want to applaud you all for being champions, because you wouldn't be a part of this program if you weren't. What questions do any of you have for me? I'd love to talk about it. Big announcement last week out of Michigan Athletics. For the first time in 11 years, we actually added sports at a time when most of the world is cutting sports and slashing budgets. And we added. We were the first Division I, actually first BCS conference school to add men's lacrosse as a sport in 30 years. And we had women's lacrosse, and I'm pleased to announce this morning that I decided just a few minutes ago that Lavrita Thomas will be the new head coach. Per diem for being here as your speaker today. I didn't even get breakfast, but I don't eat breakfast anyway. I want a Voices t-shirt. Can I get a Voices t-shirt? I will wear it proudly. Can I get an honorary member?